Imagine your liver as the most sophisticated chemical factory ever built by nature. Right now, at this very second while you're reading this, it's quietly executing over 500 different biochemical reactions simultaneously, filtering toxins from your blood, manufacturing the proteins that keep you alive, storing energy for moments your body will desperately need it, regulating the hormones that shape your mood, your drive, your ability to think clearly. It never takes a break, it never asks for recognition, and it never, ever complains. That last part is what makes it so terrifying. Unlike your heart, which sends shock waves of pain when something goes wrong, your liver has no pain receptors. None. Zero. You could be sitting comfortably right now with half your liver silently destroyed, and you would feel absolutely nothing. No ache, no warning, no signal. Just silence. That's what makes it the most dangerous organ in your body. Not because it's weak, but because it's so loyal that it absorbs punishment without ever asking you to stop. It keeps working, keeps compensating, keeps protecting you long after it should have given up, until one day it can't anymore. And by the time you feel it, the damage is often irreversible. Now here's where the story takes a dark turn. What happens when alcohol enters this equation? The moment ethanol crosses your lips, your liver doesn't register a social ritual or a reward at the end of a long week. It registers poison. Urgent, priority one poison that must be neutralized before anything else. Every other function gets deprioritized. Every other job goes on hold. The entire organ redirects its energy toward one mission, getting this toxin out of your body. Here's how the destruction begins at the molecular level. Alcohol gets broken down in two critical stages. First, an enzyme called alcohol dehydrogenase converts ethanol into something far more dangerous, acetaldehyde. And acetaldehyde isn't just toxic, it's classified by the World Health Organization as a Group 1 carcinogen, placing it in the same category as asbestos and tobacco smoke. This molecule doesn't float harmlessly through your system. It attacks your DNA directly, scrambling the genetic code inside liver cells, corrupting their ability to replicate cleanly, and triggering a cascade of inflammation that spreads through the tissue like wildfire.
But the damage doesn't stop there. While your liver is desperately working to neutralize acetaldehyde, something even more insidious is happening beneath the surface. Your entire metabolism hits pause. A landmark study published in The Lancet in 2018, analyzing health data from 195 countries, shattered one of the most comforting myths in modern culture, the idea of safe, moderate drinking. The conclusion was unambiguous. There is no safe level of alcohol consumption for overall health. Not a glass of wine with dinner, not a single beer on a Friday night. Zero. The reason goes deeper than most people realize. The moment alcohol enters your bloodstream, fat oxidation, the process by which your liver converts stored fat into usable energy, drops by 73%. Your liver, which under normal circumstances functions as a relentless fat-burning furnace, essentially shuts down for hours just to deal with the alcohol. It's the equivalent of pulling every firefighter off the job to mop up a spill. And if you drink regularly, that delay doesn't happen occasionally, it becomes chronic. Fat starts accumulating inside liver cells, inflammation becomes a permanent state, and the organ that was designed to protect you begins to drown quietly in its own dysfunction. So when you make the decision to quit alcohol for 30 days, you are giving your liver the first genuine opportunity it has had, possibly in years, to remember what it was originally designed to do. The clock starts ticking the moment your last drink clears your system. Within the first 24 hours, your liver shifts into emergency repair mode, but healing cannot begin until the cleanup is finished. Acetaldehyde, that toxic byproduct, doesn't vanish the moment you stop drinking. It lingers in your bloodstream like a chemical ghost, and your liver's detoxification pathways go into overdrive to break down every last molecule. Deep inside the liver, specialized immune cells called Kupffer cells, the organ's built-in soldiers, begin dialing back their inflammatory response. The chronic swelling that's been quietly suffocating healthy tissue starts to subside for the first time in months. But what most people don't realize is that your liver doesn't operate in isolation. It's deeply, intimately connected to another organ that plays a far bigger role in your health than most people ever consider: your gut. Scientists call it the gut-liver axis, and it may be the most critical biological relationship in your entire body. Every drop of blood that drains from your intestines travels directly to your liver through a large vessel called the portal vein. It's like a highway, carrying nutrients, yes, but also carrying whatever threats your gut has failed to contain. When you drink alcohol regularly, something devastating happens to your intestinal lining. Alcohol acts like a chemical solvent, dissolving the protective mucus layer and loosening the tight junctions between intestinal cells. These junctions are supposed to function like security checkpoints, carefully controlling what passes from your gut into your bloodstream. Alcohol forces them open. The condition is called intestinal permeability, or more commonly, leaky gut. Through those newly opened gaps, bacteria, endotoxins, and partially digested food particles begin escaping directly into your bloodstream, riding that portal vein highway straight to your liver's front door. Your liver, already overwhelmed processing alcohol, now finds itself fighting a second invasion simultaneously. Research from Rush University Medical Center revealed something that changes the entire picture. Within just 24 to 48 hours of stopping alcohol, those tight junctions begin to close again. The intestinal barrier initiates its own repair. As the gut heals, the flood of bacterial toxins reaching the liver slows to a trickle. Suddenly, the organ's workload is cut nearly in half. This is when people first begin to notice changes they can actually feel. The persistent bloating that's become so familiar it seemed normal begins to ease. A mental fog that's been clouding every thought starts to thin. By the third day, your liver reclaims control over glucose metabolism, a function alcohol had been chronically disrupting. The shakiness that used to appear each morning fades. The desperate sugar cravings begin to quiet. Energy levels stabilize in a way they haven't in years. This is the foundation. The first 72 hours aren't about dramatic transformation. They're about stabilization, your body stopping the hemorrhage and laying the groundwork for what's coming next. Then comes the part nobody warns you about. By the end of the first week, your liver is healing, your gut is repairing, and yet you feel genuinely terrible, anxious, irritable, restless, emotionally raw. You might even feel angry without knowing why. This is not weakness. This is not failure. This is chemistry doing exactly what chemistry does. Alcohol is a master manipulator of your brain's neurotransmitter system. Every time you drink, alcohol floods your brain with GABA, your nervous system's natural brake pedal. It slows neural activity, creates that familiar, relaxed, warm feeling people chase when they pour a drink. At the same time, alcohol suppresses glutamate, your brain's accelerator, which governs alertness and energy. Over months and years of regular drinking, your brain adapts to this artificial chemical landscape. It reduces its own natural GABA production and cranks up glutamate receptor sensitivity to compensate. It's trying to maintain balance. Then, suddenly, the alcohol is gone, but your brain is still locked in that compensatory mode. Too much glutamate firing, not enough GABA to balance it. The result is a neurological storm. Your nervous system overexcited, hyperactive, unable to settle. Anxiety spikes, your heart races, your thoughts spiral without direction. You feel like you're vibrating at a frequency that's just slightly too high for the world around you. This is your brain recalibrating, and it takes time. Your sleep becomes a strange, vivid battlefield. Alcohol chronically suppresses REM sleep, the deep, restorative stage during which your brain processes emotions, consolidates memories, and performs essential neural maintenance. When you quit, your brain experiences what researchers call REM rebound. It's starving for the dream sleep it's been denied for so long. Suddenly, it throws itself into REM cycles with an intensity that can feel overwhelming. Dreams become so vivid they feel indistinguishable from reality.
Some people report nightmares that shake them awake in the dark. This is not your mind breaking down. It is your brain frantically catching up on months, sometimes years of incomplete maintenance, rewiring connections, and restoring systems that alcohol had been quietly dismantling. Underneath all of this, there's another layer most people never connect to alcohol: nutritional devastation. Research from the National Institute on Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism confirmed that chronic alcohol consumption severely impairs your intestine's ability to absorb essential vitamins. Vitamin B1, thiamine, which is absolutely critical for converting food into cellular energy, gets blocked. So do B12, folate, and zinc. Your liver wants desperately to heal, but it's operating with an almost empty toolkit. The raw materials it needs for repair simply aren't reaching it. This is why the first week feels so brutally exhausting, even when you know you're doing something good for yourself. But the moment your gut begins to heal and your diet improves, the intestinal lining starts soaking up vitamins like a dry sponge dropped into water. Your liver, suddenly flooded with the raw materials it's been starving for, shifts into a higher gear. By the second week, the liver begins one of the most extraordinary transformations in all of human physiology. It starts releasing fat. Not body fat in the way most people think about it, but fat that is accumulated directly inside liver cells themselves, bloating them, suffocating them, pushing healthy tissue aside. Most people who drink regularly, even what most would consider moderately, develop some degree of alcoholic fatty liver disease. There are no symptoms, nothing you'd feel, but under a microscope, the liver cells look swollen and pale, packed with fat droplets that have replaced functional tissue. This happens because alcohol hijacks the liver's fat metabolism completely. Instead of burning fat for fuel or packaging it for transport, the organ begins hoarding it. Fat builds up inside hepatocytes, the liver's primary working cells, turning the organ sluggish and enlarged. But here is the part that gives genuine hope. This damage is reversible. A groundbreaking study from University College London tracked participants during a 1-month period of alcohol abstinence. The results were striking. On average, liver fat content decreased by 15 to 20% in just 30 days. In less time than it takes to form most habits, the liver can shed a significant portion of years of accumulated fat. As fat leaves the cells, the liver softens, its deep red color begins to return, a visible sign that healthy blood flow is being restored. Enzymes that had been sluggish and overwhelmed become responsive and efficient again. And there's a hormonal shift running parallel to this that most people never hear discussed. Alcohol stimulates an enzyme called aromatase, which converts testosterone into estrogen inside the liver. Men who drink heavily often experience the physical consequences of this: increased belly fat, loss of muscle tone, and in some cases, development of breast tissue. The liver, when functioning properly, filters and eliminates excess estrogen. Research published in Alcoholism Clinical and Experimental showed that after just 2 weeks of abstinence, the liver begins filtering excess estrogen more effectively. Testosterone levels, which had been chronically suppressed, start to recover. Men begin noticing subtle but meaningful shifts: more energy, improved mood, gradual changes in body composition. The body is remembering what hormonal balance is supposed to feel like. By the 3rd week, something shifts that goes beyond the physical. The world begins to feel qualitatively different, not dramatically, not all at once, but noticeably. Colors seem slightly more vivid. Music carries a richness it didn't have before. Small, ordinary pleasures, a morning coffee, sunlight through a window, a conversation that makes you laugh, suddenly feel genuinely meaningful rather than hollow. This is not imagination. This is your dopamine system coming back to life. Chronic alcohol consumption dulls dopamine receptors, the neurological switches that register pleasure, motivation, and reward. When those receptors are blunted, everything feels flat. Life loses its texture. You need alcohol to feel anything resembling joy, and even then, the feeling is artificial and fleeting. But by week 3, those receptors begin to regenerate. Your brain starts producing and responding to dopamine naturally again, finding reward in real experiences rather than chemical substitutes. The brain fog that's been sitting behind your eyes for months begins to lift for real. Your thinking sharpens, your memory improves. Your capacity for focus returns. This isn't willpower achieving something, it's biology correcting itself. Then comes one of the most profound scientific discoveries of recent years, one that reframes the entire conversation about what alcohol actually does to you at the deepest possible level. A 2022 study from Oxford Population Health examined what chronic alcohol consumption does to telomeres, the protective caps that sit at the ends of your chromosomes. Think of telomeres like the plastic tips on the ends of shoelaces. Every time your cells divide, these caps get slightly shorter. When they become critically short, cells can no longer divide properly, and that deterioration is aging at the molecular level. The study found that alcohol accelerates telomere shortening measurably, meaning drinking doesn't just damage your liver or disrupt your hormones, it literally accelerates aging at the genetic level, making your biological age older than the number on your birth certificate. The critical discovery is what happens when you stop. The accelerated shortening slows dramatically. You cannot reverse the years that have passed, but you can stop racing toward the finish line faster than you need to. Quitting alcohol is not just about healing your liver, it's about protecting your genetic future. So you've reached 30 days. Your liver has transformed in ways that would have seemed impossible a month ago. But the question now is how you sustain and deepen this healing. Science points to a few specific allies worth knowing. Black coffee, 2 to 3 cups daily, has been shown to contain compounds that actively protect liver cells and reduce the risk of cirrhosis, not as an indulgence, but as genuine liver medicine. Cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, cauliflower, and kale contain sulforaphane, a molecule that activates phase 2 detoxification enzymes in the liver, essentially switching on the organ's built-in cleaning system. Fermented foods, kimchi, sauerkraut, kefir, yogurt, help restore the beneficial bacterial communities in your gut, strengthening the intestinal barrier that protects your liver from the constant threat of bacterial toxins. These aren't trends, they're tools. But beneath all the science and strategy, there is a deeper truth that matters more than any supplement or dietary protocol. Your liver is the only organ in the human body capable of complete regeneration. Remove 70% of it surgically, and within months it will grow back to full functional size. That capacity for renewal is extraordinary. It is biological forgiveness built directly into your DNA. But that forgiveness has a boundary. Once cirrhosis sets in, once scar tissue permanently replaces healthy liver cells, the regenerative power is lost. That is the point of no return, and it arrives without announcement. These 30 days proved something essential. Your body is not broken. It has never stopped fighting for you, even when you weren't fighting for it. Your liver absorbed years of punishment in complete silence and still found the capacity to begin healing within hours of being given the chance. It doesn't hold grudges. It doesn't punish you for what came before. It simply asks for rest, for clean fuel, and for time. And in return, it gives you back energy you forgot you had, clarity you assumed was gone for good, and years that would otherwise have been quietly stolen. If you've been sitting with the thought of trying this, stop waiting for the right moment. The right moment is always the one you're standing in, before the silence your liver has kept all this time becomes a sound you'll never be able to unhear.